Welcome back. We're in the ULCS where Misfits, their game one, up over Splyce. Fantastic performance for them. You can't fault too much, even if it was a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, it was a close early to mid game, and then I think we saw that Misfits actually outperformed Splyce in the late game.
Yeah.
And that's something, if we look at Splyce of last year, that would have been very hard to do, because they were super, super good and super clean in the late game. But here, they gamble a lot, obviously with the Baron. It wasn't actually a 50-50. We didn't even notice this in-game. Like, Trashy didn't have Smite at all. So, why are you there? Like, why are you trying to rush down a Baron with 4 members alive?
Without vision in the back.
Yeah, you
That's
had nothing.
The big problem.
You had no setup. It was just a desperation call. And this calm and collective kind of communication Splyce had last split, and there was one of the things they talked a lot about. We praised them for it. It seems to be gone. It seems to be like almost random calls happening.
When they're not controlling the game, it does seem like a lot of it falls apart, and you have to wonder how that affects the teams in between games. Because Splyce was always known as this team that they could laugh off a loss, but it seems like the way they're playing has changed a little bit, as you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's just there seems to be some miscommunication, and the synergy is not there. So, like, when Wonder is yelling he's going in, Senkux is like, I'm actually not there yet. Like, why are we doing this? I'm like, oh, now I'm here. Now I have to flash out. And then you're like, those are the kind of mistakes a new team is making. A new team will make those kind of, you know, will have these kind of issues. But a team who's been together for a year now, who went to Worlds, it's actually unacceptable that you have communication issues.
Didn't change any players between this last season and now. I think there's definitely some answers for Splyce to try and find. We'll see if they're able to get them. In the pick ban phase, Misfits once again on blue side. Zyra Varus, nothing changing there, and the Ivern.
Well, that's probably Malzahar first pick again. Worked really well for Ignore in the last game.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
All right.
That's for sure. The Lulu ban, though, from Splyce.
That means Camille is open now, and this is what we've seen teams do more and more. They ban 2 of the OPs, and then on the last ban, they throw the curveball. They leave it open, because now Splyce can take Malzahar. They banned away Lulu, which is the very traditional European counter to him, and they were trying to give themselves a power pick without a lot of answers.
So they do give away the Camille, but they grab themselves the Malzahar. They grab themselves, once again, this Kha'Zix for Trashy. But Misfits, Alfari was doing some serious work. I mean, this is a big gamble.
I think if you're Misfits right now, picking Lee Sin again against the Kha'Zix is not a bad thing. Kakao had a better performance outside of the early game compared to Trashy, for sure. Had really good kicks in the team fights. Can still go for preferred AD carry here. I would go Jhin with Varus obviously being banned, but they just played Draven before, so they might actually want to save AD carry for later, so they have the option to play Draven again. Jhin is still considered the strongest one available.
And they can deny it away from Kabi, so what is Splyce going to pick for their last?
Probably Shen right here. Shen is, for many top laners, the go-to answer to Camille.
There
and
it is.
It is locked in, and yeah, because if you don't pick it now, it gets banned in the next rotation. So what you expect is that you have now matched jungle and you've matched top lane. That means Misfits can either ban AD carries if they feel there are some left they have to get rid of. I'd probably ban Caitlyn, personally, right now. Copy is a very good Caitlyn player. And if you're Splyce, you're looking to ban out some potential supports that can counter Malzahar, like Tahm Kench, and he actually got banned right there.
And there we go, so that is banned away. Splyce, they built themselves a pretty scary catch composition so far. The Shen combined with the Kha'Zix is something we've seen quite a lot of utilized really, really well, but you have to question what Trash is going to be able to do in the early game. We didn't see that much out of him last game.
No, it's kind of been a story for him. He had that one gank he pulled off, but then he also had a mistake. And then his team fighting presence on Kha'Zix, not purely because of him, but because Splyce had no team fighting coordination, obviously was super weak. Like, there was nothing we really got to see from that pick that made it a good early rotation. Let's see with the other bans here. You already moved one support. Karma is the other one I'm looking at as a still strong pick. Or Thresh. Syndra, fun enough, is both a mid lane choice, but has also been used as a counter in LCK to Malzahar. Very mixed success.
Yeah, but it's also a power of evil choice.
It
too,
is.
So you can kind of cover all those things. I'm a little more interested in this Sivir ban that Misfits had taken away. Let's see if they continue the trend of AD carries. They actually removed the Ashe.
See, I think Splyce are okay with this. I don't think they care too much about Sivir Ashe being removed when Kate is still open. You can even still go Corki again. And I think Corki Shen, that is the kind of combo that just makes me so happy to look at. Because then you have package at like 8 minutes, or like level 8 for Corki. Like, that's roughly the time where you can start using it properly. And then you have Shen ulti and it's just a party in the bot lane. Like, you're just going to destroy whoever is down there. This is the Caitlyn pick we mentioned. I really don't think Splyce care about those 280 carry bands.
All right, so Misfits go back to the Orianna, and now their last pickup. We'll see what they decide to take for support. Unless we see something wacky like the Ori support, but I don't think so.
Well, Pyro.
Oh, wait just a minute.
Talking about other supports that have been used in LCK.
There's a zillion of them.
Yeah, they've also been used against things like Malzahar. Zillion.
Oh, boy.
Obviously, you know, makes a lot of sense. You know, he ultis a guy. Well, Zillion ultis the same guy. And then, hey, we just nullified your ulti.
All right.
And you traded.
So the Ryze gets locked in final. That makes it all the way through the pick and bans for Splyce. All right. Who do you like out of these two compositions?
Well, it's hard to dislike a Camille composition. It's also hard to dislike a Camille composition where the Camille can dive into the enemy backline and get a Zillion ulti in the late game to just make sure there's 2 Camilles. To give her GA, there's 3 Camilles right now you have to deal with. But I think Splyce's composition has a lot of answers against it. It's the same thing. They leave Camille open, they pick Shen against it very, very often, and then it's like, yeah, we can keep this top lane even, and then we snowball bot lane. Like, snowball bot as much as possible. It's not the package from Corki, but it's a Ryze ulti instead. Works almost the same way. So I think Splyce have a very, very strong comp here, with a very clear way to play out the mid game of bot lane is our focus with Shen ult and Ryze roams. And it's all gonna try. They're gonna try to make sure this really hurts for Misfits bot lane here.
Well, they'll need it if they want to fire back in game number 2. They're finding themselves down 1 already, but composition's never really something we've questioned for Splyce, at least not in quite a long time, but it's execution. Can they pull it off?
Really is.
Can they trust Trashy to this Kha'Zix once again? Can they deliver the submarine Shen? Can they dominate the lane? So many questions, but we're gonna have answers soon enough to Fishio. We're gonna be loading up into game number 2, and if you guys at home on Twitter want to weigh in on this one, go over to @LLEsports. You know the hashtags, #SBYWin or MSFWin. But for now, we're loading up onto the Rift. Game number 2, Misfits and Splyce. Let's see who takes it.
Well, Misfits look good in the first game. Can definitely get a 2-0 here. Alfari is a carry top laner. He's one of those top laners, whenever the meta rolls into Maokai and Nautilus and Poppy, he kind of cries. Because yes, he can play them, but he's known for his carries, his strong laning phase, his ability to take over a game. So the fact that he's getting Camille, the fact he got Jace in the last game, that heavily benefits him as a player.
And we have seen this matchup play out yesterday, in fact, with G2 and H2K. And even though it was very even between the Camille for a while, eventually got rolling, was able to just take out towers, side pushing. Misfits once again find themselves with a lot of options.
We're looking at 2 items on Camille, and then suddenly Shen will actually have to just completely back away in trades. Titanic Hydra and Trinity Force are the 2 huge ones for Alfari in this game. But yes, it does take a bit of time before you get there. And that's where Splyce have the openings. They have the chance to camp bot lane, play around bot lane, get a gold advantage, and do what we've seen some teams do so far against Camille. Just shut down the rest of the team. So she doesn't have the time to take over the game because you're losing on the other side of the map and you're losing multiple towers, objectives, and suddenly it's too late for Camille. But there's always a chance they stay even and Camille then gets the 2 items and she wins the game.
I think we definitely have to keep an eye on where Trashy sends his Kha'Zix this time. Once again, criticizing him for maybe not having enough ganks in the early game or not getting enough done on the other side of the map.
Fair.
I mean, also, Kakao was really on point that last game, and we'll see if he continues that trend or not.
Now, obviously, jungle is super important in this meta, like almost every single game, but with the comp Splyce runs, I think the jungle has less impact. Mickey is taking some aggressive trades here.
Wow, Hans, instant exhaust onto him. They have to spend summoner heal, so those 2 summoners are traded. As the Voidlings come in under tower, Hans, Sam, and Ignar have to be a little careful. We're seeing this push in once again. It's kind of to be expected against Kaelin, but then Jhin has some range too.
Yeah, Zillion early laning though, while his bombs have like decent enough base damage, it's very hard for him to do like bomb W bomb because it costs so much mana for him. And very often he has to kind of surrender a lot of the lane pressure and he just needs to get his level 6. And he obviously becomes very good in team fights with his ulti.
Yes, he does.
With his speed up, or even slow down, whatever it is you decide to use it on. But as I said before with Trash here, I feel like this comp from Splyce does not rely on him too much. Because it's about getting level 6 Shen, it's about having a Ryze who can roam. So obviously you need the jungler around the mid lane for pressure and so on. But I don't feel like Trashy has to go off in the early game for Splyce to win here, or for Splyce to snowball. Because they have very strong lanes overall, and a global from top lane that is used to further snowball this bottom side. And none of that actually, again, really impacts or is focused around Trashy specifically.
Yeah. Or maybe the difference then is to focus on Kakao and see if he spends more time bottom lane. Last game, we saw him really committed to the mid and the top side. He kind of left Hans and Ignar to fend for themselves until the swap happens.
Yeah, I think it's hard to gank a Zillion lane unless they're really overextending and not respecting ganks at all, because realistically, Zillion is going to have slow into double bomb as his way of setting up CC, but so rarely does that actually fully connect if people are aware they might get ganked. Now Trashy's on top side. You can gank Camille early, but she does have a lot of mobility with her E, and that is what makes it difficult. You gotta land the taunt just when you enter the lane as a jungler, and then combine that. Kakao might try something in the bottom lane.
He's pinging for it, making moves. There's no wards this time around. Kabi does not see him. They move forward for Ignar. Mickey's a little low. Hansama looking tasty right now. The bombs are on, and they will get the stop up. Kakao lands the Sonic Wave, will go in on the resonating strike, but he's a little low. He's going to have to safeguard out, and Hansama cannot finish the kill. He himself is low. No heal. Has to burn flash. Kakao's out of there. Ignar was coming around the side.
So Kabi just traded his flash for 2 flashes on Misfits. Right there. Very aggressive flash forward on the Caitlyn. This is one of the things we talk about, how it can be difficult to gank for a lane like this very early on. Also because Ignar was poked very low in that trade. He sacrificed his own HP to pop the passive on Malzahar, but then took a ton of damage in return from all the Void Blinks, and he couldn't really join the gank after. And the Kakao ends up having to blow his own flash. While Trashy was topside, he's just gone back to base and now is going to return to jungle. Good for Splyce that the bot lane doesn't fall behind, because they really want this Caitlyn Malzahar lane to win. Hit level 6 and just go aggressive.
Well, they can have some help from Sencooks. He's built himself up a farm lead, and with Trashy, he's going to go a roaming into the jungle. Kakao, meanwhile, up towards the top side to see if he can get a gank off onto Wonder, but he's going to get spotted by that ward. Alfari's already on top of him, though. There's the taunt away, and he has to burn flash, but Wonder is out of there.
Good gank from Kakao. Very active on the map, as we always expect from him. Honestly, Sin got a Wonder's flash, but I think Wonder is going to be okay, unless there's going to be a return gank. Camille at level 6 is a very strong diver. She can obviously tank turret first and then use her ulti to kind of reset the aggro. And that's something you might see from Misfits here, if they can get Wonder down a little bit. But that's where, again, it's like you're kind of fighting against the clock if you're both teams. Because if you're Misfits and you're like, yeah, let's go dive the Shen. If you're a little bit too slow, then Shen is already ported to the bottom lane and your bot lane is dead. And the same thing for Splyce. If they're too slow with setting up a bot lane dive, then Misfits is going to go up and kill the Shen in time. So both teams are kind of racing against the clock here.
Yep.
And it's the top laners who ends up most likely being super, super important.
It's very tense, very close in the early game, even though we don't have any kills just yet. Trashy, Mickey are going to be moving towards this side of the dragon. Not going to go for Ignar as he wandered through the brush. Ward was thrown down, pings onto Kakao, so they know he's here. Bombs to try and deter Trashy. He's going to pick one up and still be able to clear the vision away, or clear the ward that was disabled away. Mid lane, still an advantage here for Sencooks. He has the farm lead over Power of Evil. He's really kept him down by about 7 or 8 CS. It's up to 10, but of course there's a wave moving and Power's going to pick a bit up there.
Yeah, but now we're going to see this thing where Sencooks will push in the lane. He will look to walk down where he has this control ward just in the brush right next to him. It's actually getting pinged by Kakao right now. But normally you want to have that control ward, so you step down as Ryze, you threaten a dive on the bottom side, and you kind of force Misfits to play passive. Kakao found the ward though, killed it, and nothing is really happening here. We're waiting for a few more levels. Good ulti.
Shockwave, they pulled him in. They're going to go for Sencooks. Instant exhaust. He kicks him away, and Trashy tags his way in. Now the Realm Warp is not going to get taken. A lot of trades, still no kills.
Very quick call in there from Wonder.
Hold on, Alfari. Wonder's not got flash. The sweep is not enough damage. Alfari can't finish the job for now.
Alfari used ulti to stop Shen from leaving the lane on top side and try and take him down after. That's why we didn't see the Ryze take his own portal and actually continue the gank, simply because Wonder had already called he was getting interrupted.
So Kakao will still be able to grab himself a red buff, but meanwhile down on the bottom side, Kabi and Mickey continue to peck away at this tower. Landing still a little difficult here against this very pushy bottom lane. Have to be careful. A lot of vision invested by Splyce. in this river.
Yep.
Close to the bottom side.
And obviously just from top side, assuming Alfari just jumped in with E, interrupted the Shen, then ulted him, try and force him down in HP. Now that there's no flash, and that's why Alfari couldn't finish the kill. And if you're wondering what he's maxing on the Camille against Shen, Stress highlighted this yesterday. It was something Alfari talked about on the analysis where he likes to max E in this matchup here to get a bit more burst damage when he does jump in on the Shen. Also because Shen can block the auto attacks and Qs with his own W. Like when he puts up that little beautiful blue circle around him, you're obviously not going to connect any of those autos. And then the E suddenly has more value because you can just jump in and actually hit him for a bit of extra damage.
But for now, they're just going to be trading farm back and forth as Wonder goes and secures some more vision. The game continues to be all about who can cover their lanes the best. Kabi and Mickey clearing away vision in the tri-brush. Still, Misfits aren't going to push out too hard. It's a very even game on gold. 9 minutes in, still no first blood.
But it's going to explode. It has to. Because both teams have so clear ways they can snowball. Misfits, dive top lane, take top tower. Splyce, dive bot lane, take bot tower. Like, there's so clear ways both teams can open up the game, and at some point, one of the teams will pull the trigger.
All right, here we go. It looks like we're going to start seeing Splyce make the move up top side. Nope, they juked me out. I'm sad now.
They definitely do. So what Trashy wants to do now is secure vision for Senkooks in mid. Because that allows Senkooks to push his lane without any fear of getting ganked. And then Senkooks can leave his lane and start going towards the bottom side for dive. Or maybe if they want to surprise Misfits, go for the top lane kill on Alfari. But that one is going to be much harder to pull off. So that's why if you look at the minimap, boring, yes, but still important. Double control ward in the river from Splyce. That is an easy path for the Rise to move. It means whenever he kills the wave and he steps to the side, Misfits will ping it. Like right here, Power will just ping, being like, he's here. There's a chance he's moving to the river. Careful, careful, careful. And bot lane, can't push. Misfits bot lane, that is. They have to be like, all right, maybe Rise is coming with Shen ulti. Let's step back, we're not gonna go anywhere. So you see how every lane is impacted depending on who's pushing first in other lanes. And that's how professional play works, is why it's always like, it's all three lanes working together, even when they're not actually standing next to each other.
As a result, that vision is just so important. Power manages to clear one control ward. Kakao is going to find another. Power's moving up towards the top side, but he was also spotted as well.
Yeah, this is the top lane play that Splyce knows will happen, which is why the ward was placed on top side from Senkooks to spot this.
There's the hook shot. Tack sweep comes in. Wonder, he cannot get away from this one. He won't be able to flash out of it. So the shockwave for a stylish first blood.
You know what, Pyre? That is just silly. Like, he walks over a ward to top side. The one play Misfits can do is go top right there. How on earth does Wonder end up getting caught out?
And Kakao, he tries to get the pick off onto Senkooks, and he backs out. And more to your point, it seems like it's more of the same. Splyce were fixated on trying to make this cross-map play, and Wonder was left in the dust.
But like, again, they saw him literally walk from mid lane as Orianna to the top lane. I don't know, whatever.
It's still going on. Kakao, he's going to be stopped up. He is actually going to go down, or is he? Because Ignar threw down the chrono shift. He might get taken again, but the flash, he's not going to go down. That is going to be Mickey biting the dust. And it ends up being Misfits that claim one kill.
And this is now where Misfits get a huge advantage. We talked about how clear it was for both teams how to open up the game. One team top side, one team bottom lane. Well, when Misfits can walk from mid, pass the ward with Orianna, go top and get a free kill on Shen, and then also defend the potential play in the bottom side because Shen wasn't ready to join earlier because he was dead, then you get everything now as Misfits. You get 2 kills, you defend your bot lane tower for now. It's still low, you have to respect that, it will die very soon, but you just got 2 kills where you weren't actually supposed to have a lot of answers. And that's where you praise Misfits, but damn, you also have to be critical of such a simple mistake from Splyce.
Yes, you do. Wonder was sensing there might be something happening to him once again. Kakao was there. He backs off, but so far 2-0 in favor of Misfits.
Get it, Kabi!
Kabi needs one more auto attack. He gets tower first blood. The gold's close to even once again. But let's take a look at how this went awry for Splyce.
Yeah, this is still fine for Splyce, but if they had had Shen alive earlier, they could have set up a dive and actually used the Shen ulti. Now they're still fighting 3 members only. Here's the Rise joining. This is a very late, way too late Shen ulti coming in, and really good response here by Misfits. They know they're gonna lose the tower, but they just want to get some kills. Parivo, wave clear ulti mid.
And
go
there
for
was the
Wonder.
dive. On to Wonder once again. They got Kakao, they got Hansama. Wonder is going nowhere. He might have the flash, but it doesn't matter. Tag sweep, double taunt. He's going to flash away now. Hook shot, and they finish him off. Kakao.
It's not over yet, Pyra here. Everyone from Splyce on top side.
Ace in the hole onto Alfari, tanked up by Kakao. Trashy looking to sink the fangs in. It's not going to be enough, or is it? He turns around, hook shot, wall dive. No, Kabi gets the kill. Kakao going low, but he claims one for himself. They're right under tower, and that is going to be the ult from Ignar. Mickey's gone down. Hansama taken. He's evaporated, and this is turned to chaos. Realm Warp incoming, and they bring Senkux and Kabi. It's not over yet. Try to turn. Now a Kakao on a spree. Kabi isolated, and the damage from command attack is just too much. Power of Evil with the third.
And we just have to say it, Pyra here. Misfits, they're outplaying Splyce in every single skirmish we've seen in this game here. This all started with Misfits attacking top side. They were between two turrets. Everyone from Splyce came from mid lane to try and defend it, and they still lost that skirmish.
Well, you said it yourself, Deficio. This game could blow wide open, and boy, did it up in the top lane. So now, just taking stock of it, Kakao's got 3 kills, Power's got 3 kills. Alfari's well on his way to that 2-item power spike you were saying with the Triforce completed, but it all started very simply with a collapse onto Wonder.
Yeah, so this is again a really good setup by Misfits, and Wonder, as we highlighted in game 1, has a tendency to stay too long. Either it's miscommunication from the team or just him thinking he can actually stay and buy more time. So he goes down. Trashy uses all his mana, and 4 members of Misfits staying together, so it's actually not really a numbers advantage for Splyce at any point in this skirmish here, because Power People joins from mid, and obviously Wonder was already dead. So despite fighting near the turret, because Misfits were staying together, no one actually got picked off, and they were always able to trade damage. Whenever you hit my teammate, I hit your teammate. And in the end, with Power People joining, him being full HP on Orianna, and Kakao playing like a monster, Misfits win this trade here.
Yeah,
and
they do.
We have to, again, like, look at Kakao, and we have to compare him against, you know, Trashy in this situation. Game 1, it was heavily in favor of Kakao, especially in late game team fights. This early game as well, like, he's been on fire.
He absolutely is. I mean, and this just kind of highlights how startlingly different we've seen the performance from these junglers. Kakao is just so much more active on the map, and he doesn't really fall behind in gold either.
No, and one thing you guys will will notice on this graph here is the first one where it says Team JP. That means Team Jungle Proximity, which highlights how often is Kakao near a teammate, like near their lanes. How often is he actually like setting up potential ganks? 46%. Much higher than what Trashy had, and Kakao is the jungler in Europe with the highest team jungle proximity. He's insanely active when it comes to getting into these lanes here, either ganking or helping with vision, teaming up for roams. He's almost always spending time with a teammate, and very rarely just sitting and farming.
And he's also been able to outfarm just in general, so he hasn't had too much trouble overall. I know jungle farm statistics are a little bit different when you get different gold values for those creeps, but he has still been able to keep far and ahead, and you can see how comfortable he is on this Lee Sin. I mean, this is a champion that, when he was in his prime, he really made a name for himself on.
Definitely agree. It's hard to have anything bad to say about.
Yeah. Hey man, the insect kick almost could have been called a Kakao kick.
Don't take that away from my boy Insect.
It's been a long time.
He suffered
right.
enough. Suddenly he was a top laner. Then he wasted his time in China as well. Actually, he had a good year where he made it to Worlds, but still.
I know you're bummed, but Deficio...
he's gone now. Man, I miss him.
If I can give you some words of wisdom to bring you up, in the words of your favorite Super Bowl halftime performer, don't be a drag, just be a queen. But Misfits are playing it out probably in a good way. Yeah?
Not about
Go ahead.
that one.
Story time.
It was actually Kakao who was part of moving Insect out of the jungle. Season 3 for KT. Kakao joined as a jungler, and that's when Insect transitioned into a top lane. And then obviously the year later, Kakao kind of left the KT Bullets and joined the KT Arrows instead. So I mean left, he just swapped teams, sister team. And became like the MVP in the summer split, and also won OGN. So some crazy good years for Kakao. And then went kind of downhill in China, but he's looking good so far in Europe.
That's absolutely true. And you know, he's a guy that's had far and away the most experience, not only on this Misfits roster, which, you know, there's some new players and some old, but also out of the Splyce boys too. I mean, this is a guy that's played himself, you know, combining his LSBL time and everything in Korea and China, you know, well over 200 career games. So you have to give it to him. He definitely has the experience to make the plays, and he's showing up here today. 2K gold advantage now for Misfits as we get close to 18 minutes.
And now we want to see 2016 Splyce. Because we talk a lot about Misfits, there's a lot of positive things to highlight in this game as well, where they're outplaying Splyce and a lot of these early fights here. But now I want to see that team who had great mid-game shot calling into a fantastic late game, where they could out-macro a lot of teams and they could out-team fight a lot of teams. We have not seen it this year. But if they're going to take anything from this series, then they have to show that Splyce. And it's starting right now. We're 18 minutes into the game. You cannot fall further behind against a Camille. So Splyce, it's time to wake up.
Well, Splyce were also that team in 2016 that very rarely had a gold lead at this point of the game. We talked about the shot calling, the objective play. That's what got them back in, but they very rarely would win their lanes. Let's see if they can capture some of that magic again right now. It's Misfits who are sieging up middle. Sencooks making his move. Lot of Splyce vision as he sends the party portal for the escape. Doesn't want to get collapsed on by Misfits.
And that's one of the things here now. Splyce kind of lost that very, very easy opening where they could dive bot lane and kind of snowball that way, where Wonder just had to stay alive top because of some of their miscommunication and Wonder overstaying. So now it's really hard to set up the 1-3-1 split push because Ryze is not insanely strong compared to what's on Misfits' side, and Shen is obviously behind. So you don't actually right now, if you're Splyce, have a lane that is dominating. A lane you're just going to be like, no matter what happens in that lane, I know my guy is going to win it. Ryze is still strong in a split push, but he's just not far enough ahead to take over the game. And that means Splyce will actually be forced to teamfight their way out. And that is what Misfits composition wants to do with Orianna, with the Zillion support. Like, they want to teamfight against Splyce. Camille is this split pusher who is a strong split pusher, but also a fairly strong team fighter. That was kind of, again, the mix between or the idea behind it was that mix between a split pusher and a team fighter at the same time, so she can definitely join and have impact.
Absolutely. Splyce, though, they're looking to pick up some quick gold. They're not able to collapse on that turret fast enough, and the cow coming around the side means that they're going to back away for now. You said the Ryze is not up to speed, but you know, when you do see a late game Ryze, when you do see this game getting into the later stages, he's going to have a big impact. The question is, will it be enough if Alphari stays on the up and up? The Power of Evil's damage starts to snowball out of control. The guy's 3-0 on Orianna already.
Yep. I'm not concerned about Ryze not getting to late game. I'm concerned about the rest of Splyce getting punished for trying to give the farm to Sencooks. They're going with Power of Evil.
Flash, they're onto power, and in comes Trashy! Tries to get the kill, but Ignar was quick on the trigger finger this time. They finished the second time around. It's Wonder that secures the kill. And Sencooks looking to chase down now. Splyce have found an opening. Should be able to fire down the turret.
And that's what we want to see from Splyce here. What a great response. Just instant flash ult from Mickey on the Malzahar into a Caitlyn trap from Copy. So even with the Zillion ulti, it didn't matter. This is a 20-minute Baron. We've already looked at both junglers. They have smite, but this is still risky.
Oh, it is. And in Cacao, we've seen what he was able to do before. The curtain call has been opened up. Splyce are backing away from this one. They tried to peel off and collapse, and Wonder's going to have to tank. Alphari isolated. The Void Spikes are there. He turns back around. Silence, double onto Cacao and Ignar, but bombs are being chucked, and now Wonder is thrown in the Camille cage. Let's see if they can take him down. He's going to have to taunt over the wall, or no, he's going to have to taunt back into Alphari. Ace in the hole, Cacao trying to intercept, can't do it. But nobody from Misfits goes down.
You have to wonder if Splyce couldn't have taken that mid lane turret instead of trying a very greedy 20-minute Baron. In the end, Misfits stopped their attempt, didn't even use anything really. 4 flashes still available, because Splyce knew as soon as they were contested, they had to just back away. Power Weaver here, getting caught. He actually tries to step in and put the ball behind the turret, and then Mickey just instant boom, flash into Caitlyn trap. Good setup from Splyce.
They tried for the chase again, but as you said, very greedy Baron call, and that's kind of been a hallmark of Splyce this series.
Yeah, why not just take that free mid lane turret instead?
They could have close to equalized the gold or gotten a lot closer to it anyways and opened up more of the mid. That would have made it easier to set up for Baron a few minutes later.
Because we have to remember the main wave clear on the side of Misfits is Orianna. And it was Power Weaver who just died at that turret. It would have been Hans Sama charging up his ulti as kind of the way to stop the turret from going down. Maybe could have stopped it, but Splyce at least could have gotten some damage on it.
Yeah.
And in the end, yes, Misfits, they lose a member, but everything else kind of stays the same.
Yes, indeed. So Misfits definitely looking good. Up a game, up in gold. Splyce making a few questionable decisions, but they have been able to get catches. They have been able to do exactly what they need to as Cacao sends a Sonic Wave a little wide, and Sencooks immediately senses it, whiz by his ear. He's going to walk away, back under tower. A lot of vision here for Misfits up in this top side. They want to make sure this Baron is lit up.
And this mid lane is just the most important thing in the game right now, because we're still waiting for Titanic Hydra.
Oh boy. Oh, Shockwave. They deterred him for a second. He's going to go down, but he had the Chrono Shift on himself. Kakao is covering. So Splyce, they're going to trade some ultimates. Ace in the hole. Not tanked by Kakao, but Ignar's fine.
And as I just said, this mid lane is being super important, and we see Splyce again fight for control in there, because we're waiting for 2 items on Camille for her to start really taking over the side lane. He's not there yet. Ryze obviously is not able to really destroy anyone in his side lane, so mid lane control is everything for Splyce, because that's what buys them time. If they can push in mid, put offensive traps from Cobby, they stop Misfits from being able to play aggressive themselves. Misfits have to constantly wait for their mid then, be afraid of losing the turret, and that buys time for Ryze to scale up as well. Problem is just Alfari gets the same amount of time, and that's where it can get really tricky for Splyce.
Trasher coming in, trying to make the tricky play himself. We'll see, the trap line is going to make it hard for Misfits to make anything happen up the middle. Still, you can see they're trying for a 1-3-1 if possible, but Camille on the bottom side, as you mentioned, good at split pushing, good at team fighting too. And he's sitting on the Tiamat on top of the Trinity Force, so he's got some more wave clear available to him as Hansam is clearing out in the top. Wonder is going to be taking the 1v1 for now. Attack sweep on Alfari. He's going to keep on moving forward. The wave clear's there, but he doesn't want to dive under turret just yet. Now with the threat of the Shen.
When we talk about Splyce, you know, playing that late game style we saw last year, and I mean, let's be real. This goal lead is almost nothing. We've seen way bigger comebacks. Just a week ago, we saw the Patriots have an insane comeback.
It all comes back to it.
And if you are a Falcons fan, you are still crying.
Well, we'll see if the Splyce fans at least can be happy here as Kakao gets caught for a second, is able to QSS out of it. And then knock down the turret in the mid. So Misfits are going to win that war of attrition, trying to push the gold lead, but it's still a meager 2,000 and some change. I mean, we're 25 minutes into this game.
That's huge, though, getting mid lane tower. If you play Jhin against an AD carry without a turret behind her, your ulti covers the entire mid lane. That forces Copy to really respect the range of Jhin when it comes to like fighting for that mid lane control. And he needs backup all the time. He has it right now. Everyone is actually around mid at the moment.
Still important, but look, Wonder in the bottom side. He's trying to push out himself. Nobody there to match him, but there's not a lot of minions just yet. It's starting to build up. So Wonder is looking to build that wave, but it's a 5v4 for the moment. He can always teleport in to change those odds. Voidling's trying to push back, but Misfits, they will not be deterred as they secure some vision, or clear the vision, I should say. Still very tense mid-game in the mid lane.
I'm really just waiting to see like how Splyce is going to try and really claw their way back. There's still this battle against time due to Camille and her ability to just take every single side lane turret. Seeing as for, I'm still not sure what reason we decided to give her a Q ability that can be activated twice that works on turrets. So she effectively gets 5 auto attacks when everyone else gets 3 auto attacks, and that's time span. And it just means the tower late game just dies in seconds. And that's the problem for Splyce is, yes, it might be even enough now, but it's only going to get worse in this side lane. And then it's all on Copy and Senku to like win late game team fights.
Absolutely.
But I don't think Kate and Ryze have necessarily a big enough advantage over things like Jhin or Orianna that it's enough for Splyce to say, yeah, we can just play for late game and we're going to win.
Well, and the gold is just so vastly different if you look at some of those guys too. I mean, Power of Evil's got 15, 16.
I think Yamato can stop working right there.
Yeah, he's taking the blue steel shot. That's okay. You know what that's all about, huh, Martin?
I love me some blue steel.
Yes, indeed. Always looks good. Splyce, you know, they have some chances to look good themselves here. They can fire back, but as you said, it's going to be difficult. Ryze can get big late. Caitlyn can as well, but there's still a lot of power to contend with on the Misfits side. Dragons has not been a very important objective this game when you've got only Cloud and Ocean to contend with. So Misfits, they picked up one that was pretty free, but it has been much more contested around that Baron side of the map.
Very true. I agreed with myself yesterday when I was watching the show from home.
It's good you agree with yourself.
Yeah, I love to agree with myself, but I agree with myself. I do not want to talk about what some of these dragons can do when they're not relevant. So I agree with you, Pyro, right there. Alfari!
2v1, he's going to knock Senkux out of it, but he walks right back in, and Alfari trying to hook shot away, dodges away from the taunt, and Misfits are onto the Baron, but this is dangerous.
Yeah, Wonder can still TP. Senkux is trying to stop recalls from Alphari so he can't teleport.
Misfits got to back away from this one. Take the smart move. Too many traps to dance around, too many members of Splyce to deal with.
So Splyce got a flash from Alphari, stopped the Baron, pushing for mid lane turret here. I actually quite like that gank in the bottom lane
Power's
from
got an ult.
Senkux.
Not going to use it. Curtain call open. Oh, teleport around the backside. See if they can find a catch. Kakao kicking Kabi away instead of into the team, and Mickey X is going to get the Shen shield on, but they take him down first. Teleport now expended. He's coming in, but is it going to be just too late? We'll see. He comes around the side looking for Kakao. Gets interrupted. Wonder now isolated as the rest of the team is not quite there just yet. Bombs on. Not enough damage to finish the job, but they keep on chasing Flourish's dodge. But Wonder's gone down to Hansama. It's a 2-for-0.
Splyce finally thought they had the upper hand when they were pushing for that mid lane tower, but then the crazy Zillion flank with the Lee Sin, fair enough, but I like the Zillion flank more. Comes in here from Misfits, starts the team fight. And as we talked about in Champ Select, whichever target Mickey is trying to ulti, well, Ignite just pops his ulti, Trashy is
Speaking
dead.
of ultis, Trashy wanders right into it, and Senkux turns into a plethora of Misfits members. They take him down and back to business on Baron.
4 games in a row where I've been very impressed with Misfits' ability to secure Barons. They are not risking anything. They have vision behind the Baron. They catch out the enemy jungler. They stop the enemy team from actually trying to get some kills or maybe stealing the Baron, and then they secure it. Their shot calling around this key objective has really improved, and it's paying off because they are looking to go 4-0 now. If you look at the last 2 series they played. Look at the Zillion flank. Screw the Lee Sin, it's just a Zillion flank.
Teleport didn't hurt either. Kakao bought really a lot of time, and I mean, the impressive thing, they melted through the Shen shield, prompting the teleport after the fact, and he was just a little late.
Yeah, and it's really hard for Splyce to fight here because Wonder ends up coming in when the fight is technically already over. So he just joins and has to run away. Senkux hasn't been able to enter the fight properly on the side. And this 1-3-1 comp that has fallen behind, as we highlighted so often, Pyro, and we talked about so much in this game, it's just really hard then to do a whole lot. You can't really split push. You can't really win team fights easily either. And everything is just in Misfits' favor. 2 items now on Camille. Hydra is completed.
They can start knocking down these towers for sure. So that will be the bottom. It's their 4th of the game, doubling what Splyce have managed to get. Trap line, they're going to 2-step through it, but Wonder and Trashy are looking to collapse around. They have a lot of damage. Still, they've sighted him out. Party Portal is going to be taken around the backside. Mickey was delivered. He's on to Ignar. They try to take him down, but Power gets Mickey. Trashy comes just as Coach too late. He's going to be locked up by the Shockwave. Alphari and Kakao around the side as Hansama blows through Trashy's health bar. And they should be able to take this turret.
We've seen Zillion flanks. We've now also seen Malzahar flanks. They just sent in Mickey on his own. We're like, you go, boy.
I don't think the Malzahar flank was that effective, if I'm honest.
Get in there. I do like the fact he targeted the Zillion so he couldn't ult himself. Problem is there's like a lot of fed carries around you. Because once again, Misfits have a composition where all 5 members can actually carry some of these fights.
Splyce just don't seem to have the same number of options. Their base is being broken open at 31 minutes. The game has gone topsy-turvy for them. They find themselves in a 10,000 gold deficit. Oh man, if they could mount a comeback, that would be a hell of a turnaround.
Would you say the Super Bowl turnaround?
It'd be pretty super. Let's go with that.
It would definitely
Let's see this again. I don't know if this was so super.
Send in the Malzahar. Mickey's like, whoops! Does get the ulti down. Trade 1 for 1. However, there's nothing really left to do here for Splyce. They're sending in the support.
I mean, what do you expect? Power of Evil, like, sends a Q and an auto, and he's got a Death Cap, a Luden's Echo, and a Merlin Omicron. I mean, that guy's got damage.
Yeah,
that's why he's 516.
650 AP 30 minutes into the game for Power of Evil.
On the other hand, Senkux does have his Seraph. He's starting to roll up, but it is just looking too little too late.
Give me the Orianna in a late game team fight. I'm just saying, just give me the Orianna here. Give me the Ryze if I want to split push and if I want to dive. But I'm not looking to do that. I'm looking to team fight here. And that's why the Orianna is doing great for Misfits.
This is the thing, too. It's not just generally a good team composition for them, but as you were mentioning in the last game, sometimes the pocket picks pay out. For Power, this is huge. This Orianna is such a comfortable choice for him. From Kakao, it's the Lee Sin. And they're really making some serious work. Not only that, Alphari has been able to get his hand on 2 carries this series. Honestly, Splyce have kind of handed the tools to Misfits. They needed to close this out.
I think Splyce's comp had the tools to win this game, and I understand what they were drafting against the Camille. They just simply misplayed it early to mid-game. And that's the thing. It's sad, to see. A lot of the cool things we talked about, with Misfits in Game 1, those were the exact same things we said about Splyce last year. New organization who came in, invested in infrastructure, very serious professional organization with their owner, that great passion. And we really liked what they were bringing to the table, and we were looking forward to watching them grow, and we did watch them grow. Now I'm just sad that we haven't watched them, continue, because they have taken a step back, a big step back.
Definitely be a lot of thought, a lot of soul searching to do after the series for Splyce. Their base is in shambles at the moment. Senkux is not going to take the portal, but they're going to try for a desperate charge here to see if they can melt through Power of Evil, but he's got a chrono shift and he's not even taken down. Wonder is going to get locked up. Alfari with the cage is able to take out Senkux. The rest of Splyce are just getting melted. Alfari 1v3 in the front line. Wonder trying to take down Kakao, but it is not going to be enough. It is going to be too little. It is going to be too late. And with the Nexus almost bare, Misfits are barreling down the end of this one. 33 minutes in, they're looking clean. 17 kills to 5, and with the Nexus, all that stands between them and victory. They'll finish the job, taking down the rest of Splyce. Alfari without any fear, jumping forward. They turn it back around, and they take the 2-0 victory.
Misfits trying to show that Group A is as strong as Group B here. But now we just have to say that G2 Esports and Misfits are representing that group really, really well. Because these guys on your screen right now, they look like one of the best teams in Europe.
That's why they can definitely breathe a sigh of relief. Smile, in fact, after all that, a big statement to take it 2-0 over a team that, honestly, we were saying a bit about this to them, or for them, last year, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Europe right now, I thought we would have 5 or 6 teams up there really fighting for it early on, but realistically, we have H2K, Unicorns of Love in Group B, and we have Misfits and G2 in Group A as the 4 top teams.
Hey man, that's a great semifinals if you ask me.
I mean, I agree. Like, those are some really awesome teams here. Hopefully more can join them. We're obviously looking at the Splyce guys there saying these guys should be able to join. We were critical in the game, and I just have to say, like, once more when it comes to Splyce, like, the fact that synergy and communication seems to be one of your biggest issues is just unacceptable.
When you have nobody changed out, when you have so much infrastructure.
Yeah. You're playing against a team who made a ton of different roster changes, who brought in another Korean who needs to learn English, and they have better synergy and communication than you have.
Yeah.
4 Danes on that team.
Oh, this
Danes
is your disappointment.
They should always be able to communicate. I'm like, it's just, when you see stuff like Power of Evil walk from mid lane through a ward to top lane, and Wonder's just kind of standing lane being like, yeah, I'm sure I'm not getting ganked. And then, of course, he dies. You're just like, unacceptable.
All right, I know you're disappointed, Deficio, but I know someone who isn't. For more on Misfits win, Quick Shot is on stage with their mid laner.
I'm definitely not disappointed, Pyra. Power of Evil, what a game. I mean, that looked easy from the viewer's perspective. How was it for you?
Well, I think we got, in the first game, kind of lucky. We got both Barons, I think, and we credit to Kakao that he got the Infernal Dragon Steel, and then afterwards the Baron Steel. Besides that, we knew we have the scaling composition with Draven, and we got the kills on him. So Draven got insanely strong, and you could see that every time they started Baron, we just Draven ulted their carries, and they can't actually finish anymore because it was so incredible much damage.
Draven ult is GG from that game, it looked like. Power of Evil, the Baron plays from Misfits seemed significantly better than previous weeks. Is that something you guys have been working on?
Well, I think we all bought more ping wards than the last week, so I think we started selling our long swords and Doran's rings and stuff like this to buy more ping wards, and it just gives you so much more pressure onto the Baron. Like, they always need to face check, you can bait it way more easily, and it just helps a lot.
It definitely showed. It was a very good series. Now, Power of Evil, step back and look at both of the groups. Everybody out there at home is saying that Group B has stronger teams than Group A. Of course, you're in Group A. Do you think that's a true statement? And if not, why?
Well, I'm not sure. I think with Rocket and Giants maybe being a little bit more weaker in our group, we could actually say it. But I think they're both of these teams have still potential to grow. So right now, I would agree to it. But I think at the middle of the split, I think not anymore.
All right, we'll give it a few weeks and we'll take a look again. Congratulations again on the win. Looking forward to see the games. We can head over to the analyst desk to wrap up the series. GG, dude.
Thank you very much, Trevor. And I'd like to open up that question not just about Group A and Group B, but if we look at Splyce and some of the things we've seen in this series, the fact that they were not able to capitalize early. Last year, they fell behind early oftentimes, but they still managed to come back, work on that, and eventually end up second in the split. Have all the teams just become better than them, Memento?
Well, yeah. Honestly, like, Misfits has just like grown a lot faster, and they're a lot better than Splyce now. I don't know what happened to Splyce in Summer Split. They were really good. They were like excellent, and them staying together. And was like, oh my god, these guys are gonna be so good. You know, they're gonna improve a lot faster than everyone else. But they seem to hit like a stop. They can't like I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I kind of echo the same sentiment. I'm increasingly disappointed with Splyce week on week now. I mean, that you see them take a game off Unicorns, who are sitting pretty at the top of their group, and then suddenly it just all falls apart against Misfits. Deficio talked a lot about some of the inexcusable mistakes in communication that were highlighted in this series, and thankfully they are fixable errors, but at the same time, every loss is a step back from a playoff berth, or, you know, that potential semi-final bye that they would be expecting, considering how they played going into Worlds.
Definitely would be. You bring up some of those mistakes or errors. In the early game, we saw a similar thing this time around. In game one, it was a swap. This one, it was a priority issue, because here, they know that there's pressure top, so what should they do?
This was the play that Deficio was talking about. You see Orianna walk to top lane, and as soon as she shows, surely you make a play bot side here.
Yeah, you have to react to it. Like, there's no other play. But unfortunately, they don't have the vision control or anything to actually set up this play, but so unfortunately it didn't go that well.
Yeah,
and, they just, they have to ulti the Zillion, of course, because they don't ulti the Zillion just ultis the ulti, and then the whole play goes. You don't get anything.
Yeah,
like,
it just got delayed really heavily. Like, the Syncox gets caught on the way down to bot lane, and Power of Evil already is mid to push it back out. They delay for another 30 seconds, and suddenly Alphari can TP in. Doesn't matter that you put a play on top side. He just arrives.
But honestly, like, they should have made this play a lot earlier. They have the Shen level 6, just make the play a lot earlier. And when Malzahar is level 6, they win any 2v2 matchup. Like, the jungler Kha'Zix plus Malzahar, that's brutal. I don't want to face that in my jungle. Just walk together and actually get the vision down and make the play with the Shen.
Absolutely brutal. We do sound a little bit like negative Nancy's, but it is because we have come to expect more from Splyce, which were our #2 team in summer and made it all the way to Worlds. And that is why it is all the much so impressive that the Misfits come in here and have such an incredible record and now also beat Splyce. One thing we have to highlight, the jungle matchup, what we talked about in the beginning, Trashy up versus Kakao, and Kakao absolutely murdered him in this one.
Jesus. Complete domination from Kakao. Early game, mid game, late game, you name it. He was just walking up to Raptors. Memento, you were saying, like, that's just him saying, I can take anything here, smiting it in front of his face.
Kakao was out-pressuring Trashy. He was ganking more than Trashy. He was farming more than Trashy. He was doing everything more than Trashy. I don't want to sound negative, but Kakao did an excellent job, and this guy is something to look out for.
Very positive. Kakao killed it.
Yeah, Kakao looked great. Trashy, I am going to be negative again. I'm sorry, but where's the Trashy from summer where we had players on the desk in the very chair you're sitting in now where they were saying Trashy is one of the best junglers.
I'm going to challenge that, actually, because throughout the entire year we had stats proving that Splyce was not absolutely crushing it early, although they did work on that. And still in the beginning of the split now, Trashy was not ahead early, but still players said he was an amazing player. So does that, again, just mean that all of the competition has grown better?
Now, what it used to be was Trashy would look after his lanes very well, whether it was lane swaps or counter ganking. Trashy was always around, but he was never really doing anything. And now we've got to a point where junglers have to be active on the map. You're talking about making plays on the bot side. It's not enough to just be around anymore. You've actually got to get into the lanes, set up the plays, and get the rest of your team ahead. And he just hasn't been able to do it now, and we're 4 weeks in.
Definitely to work on something as a team for Splyce. So are we going to see both Misfits and Splyce in the top 4 at the end of the split?
I mean, definitely Misfits. They look extremely clean. Like, they look really good right now. Whatever they're doing, keep doing it, honestly.
I think they lose out, unfortunately, for Splyce. Misfits, yes. Splyce, right now, I don't see it. I think H2K Unicorns, Misfits, and G2 look too strong. They'll unseat Splyce.
Super stacked. It'll be very interesting to see how that evolves. And we also have one more match coming up tonight as Fnatic takes on Group B's Vitality. That is after the break. Don't go anywhere.
And they bring Senkux and Kabi. It's not over yet. Try to turn. Now a Cacao on a spree. Kabi isolated, and the damage from command attack is just too much. Bombs on. Not enough damage to finish the job, but they keep on chasing Flourish's dodge. But Wonder's gone down to Hansama. It's a 2 for 0.
Look, my ulti core down too.
All on you.
Look, come. Six.
I got him.
I get Kaden. He's in the pit.
And with the Nexus, all that stands between them and victory. They'll finish the job, taking down the rest of Splyce. Alfari without any fear, shoving forward. They turn it back around, and they take the 2-0 victory.